Could you be more in the way, please? Could you? Hey? Huh? I'm waiting for you. What A word? I didn't say that at all.
Hello. Okay, regular.
It's regular.
Yeah.
I think it's regular style. Yeah.
Oh.
What's up?
Yeah.
What is up?
You know what? I only want to hear from you today.
What? Why?
Because from what I remember, we've talked about this movie since this podcast started.
I think I had a bunch of movies in hand.
Yeah.
And then this was your first recommendation to put on our list. Mm-hmm. Our highly organized system of choosing the right movie at the right time. And you know what?
Cinema is mood.
Everyone wants to hear between Christmas and New Year's.
Yeah.
Is a movie about nothing to do with either of those holidays.
Hell yeah.
Called Death Becomes Her by Robert Zemeckis.
Woo, woo, woo.
Which you love.
I fucking love this movie.
Before we get into it, though, we saw a film last night. Now, I will say this.
That's
We'll
right.
talk a little bit about. We're going to talk about Death Becomes Her, a movie that has been reclaimed over the years, specifically by the gay community. But we saw the straightest, most virile, masculine film with no gay undertones whatsoever, no homoeroticism in it at all.
They wouldn't have
Finally,
it any other way.
one for the straights. Gladiator 2.
Is it one for the straights? Oh.
I think that's how they advertised it, yeah.
That's why they're all in there showing their sexy knees all the time.
That's what, there's nothing more straight than looking at Paul Mescal's thighs
Hell
for
yeah.
a bunch of time and being like, and wondering at multiple points in the film, being like, is he wearing like undergarments under that, or or am I about to see his huge hog just flop out onto
his mezcal
Coliseum? Yeah,
Paul, put your mezcal away.
Little
Jesus.
mezcal just pop out onto the Coliseum floor.
That explains all the feral howling at the cinemas last night.
Yeah.
Now I understand it all. It's all come together now. You know, I had a fucking great time.
Look, Gladiator 2, I said this as we left, not as good as Napoleon. I think Napoleon is a better movie.
Not as good as Gladiator 1.
That's not even a conversation worth having.
Yeah.
As everyone who listens to this pod knows, Gladiator 1 is one of my favorite films. I think it's
Hell yeah.
fantastic. And I knew it would never be as good. Like, I didn't ever think, like, I was never going to be like, whoa, I wonder if this is ever going to be as good as one of the best films of all time. No, it's not. But I had a good time. I honestly, I'll put it this way. I don't even think it was a particularly good movie, but I really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
I had a lot of fun.
It was the perfect one to watch at the cinemas. You need that big screen. You need the surround sound.
You know what though? And I'm going to sound like the oldest, shittiest, dumb motherfucker. It was so loud.
Yeah, dude.
And I don't think it's Gladiator 2's fault. I think the theater cranked up the volume.
Yeah.
Because we've seen like we go to a lot of movies and a lot of action, like big movies, loud set pieces and stuff like this.
Yeah.
This movie was especially loud for some reason.
Loud.
Yeah.
You don't remember Napoleon being loud? Because I feel like I had to cover my ears in that one a little bit.
No, I didn't remember it being like that noticeably loud. I do, however, remember The Substance also being a very loud film.
That is true.
That was like despite what I think of The Substance, it was also just like, it was so the volume
jarring.
or the balance or something in the theater was just so like in your face, screaming at all times. And I found that this movie was also like just like arrows being shot was like, oh god, that's so fucking loud. Like, what are you doing? Yeah, it was weird. But I thought it was a fine film. I don't know.
It's like it's the ideal movie to watch with a bunch of nerds who also enjoy, going to the cinemas with you.
Yeah,
and it was the right way to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Watch it with your homies.
And we all of the five of us who went, we all enjoyed it for the same reason, which is that it's masculine, virile, and super hardcore straight.
It's so straight.
That's what everyone liked it for. There's no question about that.
There's no shadow
Everyone
of
was
doubt.
just like, I'm really happy to be taking part in such a manly, sexless
Fuck
activity.
yeah. And then we chest bumped each other.
Yeah, we like fist pumped and we were like, yeah, bro, yeah.
Woo!
Pecs and stuff, right?
Straight stuff.
Yeah. Speaking of this movie, Death Becomes Her, like I said, a film that's been reclaimed by the gay community, but you know what? In my fervor for Gladiator 2, I'm here to take it back. I'm here to take it back for the straights.
You want Death Becomes Her for the straights?
You know what? Take that, gay community, okay? No. Your time with this movie is over.
It's so fascinating you bring up like the gay community reclaimed it because it's from the 90s.
Not for long, but yeah.
Not for long. and I think more it's maybe just for like a particular subset because now we have TV shows like there's RuPaul and then there's Queer Eye and there's all this stuff about dressing a certain way and then being very particular about how you dress or your appearance or like the eternal youth or like looking a certain way and maybe even like the cattiness of making sure you and your surroundings look a certain way. That maybe that is why some subsect women/gay men might be like, yeah, you know what, this is for us.
Yeah, so you brought up RuPaul. Like I did read an interview where they talked to, or like a review where they were talking about this film's influence on the gay community, and they talked to Jinx Monsoon, who's on Drag Race. Yeah. I don't watch Drag Race, but Jinx Monsoon talked about how they were inspired by this film. They dressed as Meryl Streep for one of their races.
For one of their
Is that shows. What they do on the... So, sorry. Okay, I've never watched an episode of Drag Race. I know it's very popular. I don't want to step on anyone's toes here.
You know what?
Now, hold on. Can I just ask, in the show Drag Race, do a bunch of people dress up in drag?
Yeah.
And then get in cars and drag race? Or alternatively, do they dress in drag, get on a runway, and run as fast as they can against each other?
You're so close.
What's the race part of it?
There's definitely the runway.
Okay.
But think of America's Next Top Model runway.
Yeah, I know. I know. I kind of understand what drag race is about.
But in a way that they would kill each other.
Yeah.
Because of how incredibly cool they look.
Yeah. It's dangerous. It's one of the most popular shows.
I don't think you should watch it. You specifically, it might kill you.
Why?
It's terrific.
Am I too straight? Is that what you're saying?
You're too straight to function. That's you.
You're just like too hella fucking straight, bro.
They didn't even let you in at Gladiator 2.
Actually, if I put Drag Race on streaming, it'll play for like 2 seconds and then just blip out of existence for me, basically. And then I won't be able to find it on the streaming network. No, but like they talked to Jinx Monsoon and David Koepp, who wrote the film, and Martin Donovan. Now, Martin Donovan is not the actor Martin Donovan. It's a different person named Martin Donovan, which when it first came up on screen, I was like, Martin Donovan wrote this? And it's not the actor, the bit part actor who's in a bunch of Nolan films. But David Koepp was like, I think it's great that the LGBTQ community has reclaimed this film.
Yeah.
I don't know why. He's like, I can't really understand what appeals so much. And even when they talked to Jinx Monsoon, they were like, it's just about two women who are just kind of badass, and it's like they're just badass bitches, and there's camp involved in it, and they're just, they're villains. And he brought up the comparison to like Cruella de Vil and what's her face from The Little Mermaid? What's her,
Mermaid.
The Octopussy from The Little Mermaid.
Oh yeah. Mary. I've never seen
the villain.
I know you mean
the villain,
the purple lady,
the giant octopus. Ursula.
Yeah.
Ursula and Cruella de Vil kind of being like ultra feminine villains that the gay community gravitates towards in pop culture. Mm-hmm. But it was like, I was like, I don't know. I just think it's like a vibes based thing, and I can't really explain it. But I will say one thing I thought a lot about after reading a bunch of those articles about this movie. This movie comes out in 1992, and it's not bereft of kind of a little bit of passive homophobia, and also a little bit of like sexism, and some would probably argue a lot of sexism, but it is still a film in which two women get to be kind of hideous, ugly people, and like
Yeah.
and like unabashedly gross, when a lot of women are kind of like put on a pedestal in that
Yeah.
way, like in the 90s, and like they get to be these like freaks in a fun way. And I think that was kind of a rarity, because it's like you get to have Meryl Streep and Goldie Hawn, who are like legends at that point, be these kind of freaks, and that's like fun about this film.
I love it.
And ultimately too, we were talking about this last night when we were having a drink, was like the fact that like in a love triangle situation, in my opinion, there's always some sort of homoerotic undertone to it, because the triangle competition is always between the two people of the same sexes.
Right.
And okay, sorry, I keep going on, and I don't think you'll need to talk for much longer, but you did say you just wanted to hear from me.
I because this is your first time watching it, I'm so keen to hear. Yeah.
I actually listened to a podcast the other day where it was an interview with Justin Kuritzkis, who wrote Challengers and wrote the upcoming Luca Guadagnino film Queer. And Luca Guadagnino, when he first met him about Challengers, which is, you know, the big 2024 love triangle film where there's no fucking whatsoever, Luca Guadagnino said to him, in his like formulation of the idea, he was like, in a love triangle, every corner has to touch. And I was like, that's such an interesting Luca Guadagnino way of putting it. And this movie kind of has that impact too, you know, because first it's like Bruce Willis is like with Goldie Hawn, then he's with Meryl Streep, and then Goldie Hawn comes back in trying to get back with Bruce Willis, but really she's trying to get at Meryl Streep in a way.
Yeah.
And they all end up having these like this circle of conflict around the triangle. Basically.
Totally.
Yeah. It's very interesting.
They feel like they're competing for each other's attention and not really for Bruce Willis's character.
Bruce Willis is such an emasculated little fucking
He could die.
Piss boy.
They wouldn't care.
Yeah. They wouldn't let him in Gladiator too. Let me just put it
You know
that
what?
way. Yeah.
No entry for that guy.
Yeah. Which is funny because Bruce Willis as an image is not that at all. He's like a manly person.
Hell yeah.
He was in, you know, other movies.
You know, everything where he gets to be the most Willis.
Yeah, you know, he was in...
He gets to have hair in this one, so that's already like
and a mustache.
My God, chameleon.
Yeah,
he disappeared into the role. Love it. I fucking love a freaky Meryl Streep film, man. I love when she's a kooky little. She's just like, what? I'm an adaptation, but I'm just this like crazy lady.
Oh
yes,
yeah.
She's so good when she does something that is not entirely serious.
She's like kind of a good actress. I'm just coming to realize now, and like Meryl Streep's a pretty good actress.
What did Death Becomes Her win an Oscar for?
Did you look this up?
No, but it got an Oscar.
Do you want to know?
I don't know.
Do you want to know the crazy part of that Oscar? Because I was going to ask you this.
Oh shit, hit me.
All right, I'm going to turn around on you. What do you think it won an Oscar for?
Special effects.
It did.
Oh shit.
What do you think it was competing against? Now, I'll give you a hint, but in 1992, just a guess.
Oh shit, 92. Oh, great year. Oh my God, I even saw this the other day. Give me one hint of like what other thing that got an Oscar that was also...
Both the other movies are sequels in a franchise, and I mentioned one of them while we were watching this film.
Fuck, it's fully...
Huge franchises that are still going today. They've been rebooted.
Mission Impossible.
No, Mission Impossible didn't go until 95. They've been rebooted. Alien 3.
Okay.
Batman Returns.
Okay, fuck.
This fucking movie won an Academy Award over that.
Oh my God.
Which is so crazy. Like actually not crazy, because the special effects in this film are very 1992 when you watch them today.
Shit.
But they're actually very fascinating.
If it was made today, it would cost like $200 million and it would suck ass and it would go straight to Netflix and no one would give a shit about it.
You know what though? I did think was this movie, although everyone would complain about it, including probably us, this movie would be the perfect test case for de-aging.
Yeah, dude.
The only problem would be like it's the perfect film that if they remade it today, which who knows, they might do that.
Yeah.
Like Luca Guadagnino is probably doing it right now. He's going to make 4 films next year. If they remade it, it would be the perfect film to use de-aging technology. And Zemeckis,
100%.
the director of this movie, used a shit ton of it in the film Here, which came out this year, as we well know. Not that Zemeckis... It would be crazy if Zemeckis was like, I'm going to remake the film that I already made.
Like, Zemeckis, man. I mean, look, What can you tell me a show that you used to watch growing up as a kid or even as an adult that you were like, this never, like a TV show that you're like, that spoke to you as a child and also as an adult, that maybe it's like more than nostalgia, it's just objectively good?
Oh, I don't know. Not really.
I always go back to Tales from the Crypt.
Yeah.
And no matter how, and it's the same vein, right? Death Becomes Her has tonally, obviously because Zemeckis is the producer on those things too.
Zemeckis produced Tales from the Crypt, right?
Yeah, for like years and years and years. And then you have like hints of that in this movie too. And it's not entirely supernatural, but it is horror, right? It's body horror. I mean, Death Becomes Her walked so substance could shit itself. Like, there's the whole reason.
It's very similar. A lot of similarities, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so many just like tingly, nostalgic moments of Tales from the Crypt came back to me when I was watching Death Becomes Her. And I saw this maybe 10 years ago, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And I had the same feeling. And I watched it last night with you and had the same feeling.
Yeah.
This movie is just fun.
You're a really big fan of this.
It's just,
yeah.
It's good. It got like 10 laughs out of me.
Yeah, it's very good. I'm
never bored.
It's not like very good, but I did enjoy it. And
yeah,
I can see how it became like a cult icon for not just the gay community, for like anybody. Like, it's a very culty film in that way. It's culty in the way that it has like problems in it that you're just kind of like, yeah, whatever, who cares? Like, it's still an entertaining film. Like,
that's exactly it. That's exactly it. There's not a dull moment, or even if it is, it doesn't linger and it doesn't last too long. It doesn't take itself seriously.
Oh, it definitely doesn't take itself seriously. Yeah. Not at all.
It's so unabashed about just shitting on itself a little bit. And all its characters. One of I think
the kind of sexist undertones to it, but also one of the things that makes it work is the fact, like, the film is like, yeah, these women are pieces of shit. You know, they're just like awful.
Yeah.
You know,
they're made to be like witches or something. Yeah.
And they like it revels in like glory. Goldie Hawn in like a fat suit and like stuffing fucking icing in her mouth and getting arrested and all this kind of shit. Like, it kind of treats everyone, and it treats Bruce Willis like this too. Like, it treats everyone like they're just like a nonsense person.
Definitely.
And even Isabella Rossellini she's so absurd and like, yeah, I don't know. But it's fun that way. Like, and I don't think you can read sexism and homophobia into this film a little bit, but it's the 90s, so like you could do that with a lot of movies. Like, you could probably do it with fucking Jurassic Park next year, but like it doesn't appear to me that the people involved were not fully on board with what they were doing, with how zany it was, with how stupid it is. And
exactly.
Like, it's interesting. I read an interview with like the visual effects supervisor, the producer or whatever. He said to Meryl Streep at one point, he was like, listen, just whatever Bob Zemeckis tells you to do, just like do it, because it's going to sound insane, but we need it to get these types of shots essentially. And it was like, it was really fascinating in that way. Like, I don't know. It's just such a zany film and it just seems insane. And then it comes across as insane as well. Like, it is an insane film.
Oh, 100%. I can't believe it got the Oscar for special effects when one of the most important scenes is when Meryl Streep, takes the potion at Rossellini's house, and then she has like a flash of youth, like her skin gets tighter.
But that was a huge deal when that it happened, though.
I don't know, but like, when the boobs like get firm and round up, that's a person behind her pushing it in, man.
Yeah.
They didn't even use special effects for the most important boob job. Come on.
It's interesting because the special effects were done mostly by ILM, and like they were like revolutionary at this time. And the same guy in that interview, he was like, he's worked with Zemeckis a bunch of times, and he was like, every time we get on a film with him, what he talks about before we get into the movie seems impossible, and we just have to figure out what we can do, but it involves pushing technology further and further every time we work with him, which is so funny because I read an article a long time ago about Zemeckis, probably in preparation for our What Lies Beneath episode.
Oh yeah.
But and as someone who was born like in the 90s, I don't have the same relationship as like people who saw like, used cars, Back to the Future, those films that he made early on, the idea of him being more of a technocrat director than like an emotional director, because my introduction to Zemeckis was Forrest Gump, which is the most treacly, overwrought emotional film. Yeah. Without a ton of special effects. Really, it's just kind of a straight down the line blockbuster film. It's got some war, it's got some boats, things like that, right? And like when you think to like Back to the Future and all of these films, Death Becomes Her, he is like this very, very technologically focused director. Totally. And then we see it with like Beowulf, A Christmas Carol, Polar Express. Even here now that you think about it, is like that movie's basis is from a technological perspective where he's like, you only are in this corner of the house and they're all de-aged and you see all this special effects shit happening, but it's only here. And I never really consider him that way, No, I don't know.
Because even when we watched it, we were like, this feels like a Tim Burton joint.
It feels like it definitely feels like a film that like, if I didn't know this, but Zemeckis basically, he was like first on this script, like first and last, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, it does feel like if it's like the script got passed around Hollywood, that Tim Burton passed on it to do Batman Returns. It feels like that a lot, But no, it was Zemeckis. It's funny, the visual effects guy, he was like, Zemeckis had wanted to do a film about Houdini. And the visual effects guy was like, okay, cool, do a film about Houdini. Yet again, something that could be like technically accomplished, right? You'd have to figure out practical effects for a guy who does magic and shit like that. And then Zemeckis called him one day and he was like, how would a woman have to fall down a set of steps and get her head turned back around 180 degrees? And the guy was like, so I guess we're not working on Houdini next. Okay. It's very, very funny. Do you want to know like some of how the special effects were accomplished? Yeah. This guy provided this really interesting overview of one of the scenes that I thought was fascinating.
Definitely.
And again, as I've said before, when I get into technological stuff, I am not an expert on this. Okay, so the scene where her head is backwards and she's walking around. Basically what they did for that was like they shot a plate, like a live action plate, a shot of her walking around as she was, body forward, Meryl Streep wearing a blue full cover blue skin tight mask.
Got it. So she's walking backwards and there's something on her face.
No, she's walking around the way she's walking, right?
Oh, okay.
And yeah, like walking backwards, trying to find the phone, fumbling around. Meryl Streep, great actress. Yeah. As we're like, no one knows that yet, but
greatest
like she's
backwards walker.
Yeah, she's trying to figure that out, right?
Yeah.
And like obviously it's like, what's your motivation? So my head's on backwards. How would you figure that out? Can't see in front of you, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So they film one of those with her with the blue face mask covering her head completely. Then they film another one that's completely empty. Then they film another shot of Meryl Streep, but only her head exposed with a blue suit on a blue screen. And then they composited it all together. And then they actually used computer generated effects and this is 1992.
That's cool.
They used computer generated effects to like create the neck, which is like all twisted. And then they just composite all three of those shots into her walking around.
Amazing.
Very fascinating.
It's a little jarring and it's great. It like has the right effects.
It's really eerie. But at the time, like it must have been, something else. Must have been like what it was like watching The Irishman just a few years ago.
It's spooky watching it as a kid.
Speaking of special effects, what is like a recent film, say like in your adulthood, that the effects like really blew you away? Because me and you complain a lot about like bad special effects. I think that's a conversation that's had a lot about like new movies and stuff. But like so Godzilla
right away, and I like blurted it out because I couldn't even keep it in. I was blown the fuck away.
Godzilla -1.
-1, yeah. Just because of just reading about like how little the budget was for that kind of CG. What a small studio can accomplish for a movie that big. Tremendous. Goosebumps every time I like nuclear blast me Zilla, step on my neck.
That's so funny.
So beautiful.
I like don't even
it like didn't even it was just like
doesn't do much for me.
Otherworldly experience, kind of just watching it at the cinemas. It was
it was like good. It just didn't do a lot for me. That's
it's so believable. I feel like I mean, it basically is a komodo dragon, right? It's ugly, it's huge, it's intimidating.
Wow, okay. A lot of our listeners
Sorry.
come from the
Sorry,
Java,
Komodo
come
heads.
from the islands of Indonesia, and they don't really need you insulting, A, if they're a Komodo dragon, them listening, and B,
Sorry.
if they're buddies with a Komodo dragon, how do you think they feel? You know?
It's the dragon's face is different and special.
Yeah.
It's ugly.
Those creatures are they're so disgusting that if they bite you, like you'll die because their mouth is toxic.
I know, dude.
It's amazing.
And I can't believe like that is something that's so real, and it can be taken into like a sci-fi concept and be made to believe that exists, versus the fucking goofy monkey we saw in Gladiator 2 yesterday, which did not feel
real,
man. Come on.
I didn't mind.
I didn't mind it, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's 2024. It's a Ridley Scott joint. You can't convincingly make a creature terrifying.
I don't think that's a Ridley Scott problem, though. I think that's a modern special effects problem, right? Like, and you know, like I don't know. I didn't think it was like the worst thing at all. Like
True.
a lot of huge blockbusters are riddled with special effects, some good, some not, and it's kind of like you got to live with it. I don't really care. The thing about it is like the like if you're gonna, I don't know, if you want to have wacky ass scenes with like animals and shit, it's better to do that than maybe to have real animals. Obviously, they can't have an animal get bitten by Paul Mescal, no matter how much he tells you he wants to do it. And I think he does. I can see it in his fucking Irish face. He's like, I want to bite a baboon if you'll let me.
Yo, like Rafiki in the newer Lion King.
But that whole movie is special effects, though.
Yeah.
And that is one that I said in that episode. I was like, that did rip my fucking eyes off with how amazing it looked when I saw it in theaters. But that whole movie is like it would be the same as if I saw like a demo for it was honestly the same feeling when I played like God of War 2018 for the first time. That fucking game has such incredible graphics that I was like, holy fuck, I didn't know this was possible, you know, because I'm a late gaming bloomer. I'm getting into gaming later in my life because
I'm proud of you. That's great.
I'm gonna kind of move out of film, get into games.
Next stop, Lara Croft, but with 3D tits.
I'm going to start at the beginning. 1996, Lara Croft with those Cybertruck titties.
Yeah.
Yeah, a film that like the special effects blew me away is definitely Interstellar.
Oh shit!
I think that's far and away like the most impressive.
Anything with outer space it's so out of the realm of our understanding that it would be. You know,
but it's so like that movie is like so believable though, and a lot of it too. What I loved about Interstellar was how it didn't overdo it. When they're in space, you're kind of like, I believe that's what it would look like to be in space. You know, like there's a scene I think of a lot where just after they've kind of launched and they're just floating, because you know the wormhole is near Saturn. Yeah. And they're just floating near Saturn.
Oh, yeah.
And you know, like in the Star Wars soft sci-fi version of space, you're in space and space looks like what it looks like from here. It looks like you're looking at a starry map all around you, kind of. But my imagination is that space isn't really like that, especially deep space, because there's so much shadow and light that doesn't get to where you are. Yeah. So it would be a lot darker and a lot bleaker. And they have that kind of in that film where they're just drifting through these shadows of these planets and stuff. It's very fucking cool. Oh. But that movie,
no, you're totally right.
It is one that I still like marvel at, like being like, how the fuck did he do shit like that?
Absolutely. Yeah. Like the tsunami, whatever, 200 feet.
Yeah.
And that's CG, and it just like still shakes me to my core. That is terrifying. Yeah. That is incredibly well made.
I'm always impressed, like speaking of Nolan as well, I think I've mentioned this before, but in The Dark Knight Rises, when Batman kind of comes back and they chase him and he goes into the alley and the bat plane like lifts off and you're like, man, how did he do that? It's like he literally made that thing fly in the air. You know, like that's like I consider that a special effect. It's not a CGI special effect, but I'm sure there's some CGI aid in there. But it's like, no, he lifted that shit. Just like in Dunkirk, he sunk the ship. Like those kinds of things, those practical effects can be so amazing. And but Interstellar is so clearly like a mixture of hardcore special effects, and I just think it's so crisp and beautiful. Yeah. Unlike Death Becomes Her.
It's of its time.
It's a different time. Yeah.
I like credit to those X-Men films then, because they do a really good job of, especially with Silver Surfer
Which one?
The one with the kid who like zips around really fast. And
Oh,
they
like the
slow
ones we
down.
covered, like
The first. First men.
The First Men. Yeah, it's called The First
Oh my
Men.
God, first class.
Well, we covered Apocalypse. Which Apocalypse has incredible special effects. Like it looks, it's such a bad film, but it looks like amazing. And yeah, like Apocalypse. What are the other one we covered? Doesn't matter. We've talked about too many.
We've been in the thick of it.
We
All
still
the
have to get
Wolverines.
through Dark Phoenix someday.
My God.
But yeah, like I will say that I'm not a big, as I talk about all the fucking time. It's like I'm not a big comic book film guy who like goes into that stuff. But sometimes when you see some of the stuff they can do in those films, like when I saw the fucking trailer for the Eternals, like I said in that podcast, was like Arishem looks amazing. Like that whole design and the way it looks is incredible. A lot of the rest of the movie doesn't look great, but they definitely fucking nailed that. And I was like, that looks fucking crazy.
Oh shit, yeah.
Yeah. That movie, of course, probably the best Marvel film ever made. Yeah.
That's enough out of you.
And there's pretty much no question.
Other Marvels, take a nap.
Yeah.
The one
Infinity
Marvel.
War, more like Infinity go to bed. Am I right, ladies?
Okay.
Yeah? Endgame, more like end my torture of watching this film.
Straight up. Yeah, dude.
So yeah, this movie, Death Becomes Her.
Death Becomes Her.
You're a big fan?
I just love it so much. It's not like I throw it on to casually watch it or watch it often.
I've never seen you, but you've always sung its praises.
But
yeah.
every time it's on TV, it's hard for me to change the channel.
Mm-hmm.
Which now it's, because I don't have TV that way. So I can easily change the channel. Sorry. But
the hell of streaming.
I swear to God, I'm trapped in a prison of my own making. But if ever there's an ad for it, you better believe we're watching it. No skipping. The Death Becomes Her ad.
All right.
Okay.
Like if halfway through the hockey game tonight, they're like, we interrupt this program to bring you Death Becomes Her.
Yeah.
An ad-supported version of Death Becomes Her.
It's an 8-minute long ad. You can't skip it. It's in like 30-second intervals.
This is it's one of the better films about plastic surgery.
Definitely,
I collected
dude.
a couple. And I want to go through them.
Yeah.
I think my favorite film, and maybe the best film about plastic surgery, is The Skin I Live In. Do you remember that movie? The Almodovar movie?
Oh my God, of course. Antonio Banderas?
Yeah, a movie that,
very normal.
Guys, yeah, very normal.
Regular.
And I think if you want, it's Friday night, if you're just, you just want to chill out and have a good time, watch that film. You'll feel great.
Make sure your parents are with you.
Yeah, watch it with your whole family, grandma, grandpa. Make sure they're all there. Watch that movie. They will love the scene where he lays out all the things that the person has to put inside of them, which is real cool.
Grand.
The gauges. Yeah. That movie is totally fucked up and awesome.
Holy shit.
But yeah, I showed that to you and I was like, this movie is fucking crazy, but
and
great.
Boy, did it deliver.
Yeah.
You know what? Rarely, very, very rarely am I stumped about the endings of movies or the direction they go in, because I'm a huge, accomplished thinker.
You're a scholar.
It is true.
Yeah. It is true.
It is correct.
It is correct.
This one messed me up, man.
It's a real thinker. Yeah.
It's a real why what?
Yep.
And in the best way.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, great contender. The Skin I Live In. Yeah. Beautiful.
Another one. The substance is kind of it doesn't quite have to do with plastic surgery, but
Body
she's
horror.
kind of doing it to herself.
Totally.
And at this point, I think The Substance is going to get nominated for an Academy Award.
Sure.
For makeup or something. Not for effects, but is there one for makeup and special effects or something like that? I think it will get nominated because they do some pretty viscerally disgusting things in this film.
Yeah,
we can talk about it now. If people haven't seen it by this point, this fucking podcast is going to come out at the end of December. If you haven't seen it by this point, fucking get your life and go watch it if you want to watch good films.
Something filthy and disgusting like The Substance.
But when she turns into that disgusting old hag, it is it is a spoiler to be fair.
Yeah.
But it's so horribly gross.
Yeah.
And then she turns into the gigantic grotesque creature, and it's like, you know, that, and a lot of that shit looked very practical to me.
Totally. No, give them all the awards. That's well deserved.
Yeah. Vanilla Sky.
I've never seen it.
Well, Tom Cruise gets his face disfigured, so he has to wear a mask like Phantom of the Opera. Yeah. I don't remember a lot about that movie because I don't think it has a coherent plot line, but yeah. Two other movies I really love. I mean, Face Off, but I've never seen Face Off. But
I almost said Face Off, and I was like, wait a minute.
But that has to obviously needs somebody to do with plastic surgery.
Surely.
Okay, there's two other crime films where plastic surgery plays a crucial role in the plot.
Yeah.
Smoking Aces is one, which you haven't seen, but sorry to spoil it, but plastic surgery plays a crucial role in the plot of that film. And Traffic. There's big moment of that in Traffic. Yeah.
Of course. Of course.
Yeah.
What's the one? Dude. Mama. Wait, what is it called?
Mama is the Guillermo horror film. Mamma Mia? That's a Christine Baranski.
It's like a horror, something about Yes Mama? Mother?
Oh,
yes?
God, I don't know.
Oh, my God. Anyway.
Babadook? Like, I don't know.
Mama Duke.
Oh,
you know where she comes home with bandages. She's got twin boys.
Oh, Christ. No, I don't remember.
I forget the title, but yeah.
You might be thinking of Mama, though.
No, Mama is the Guillermo del Toro horror.
Right.
This one is...
Don't look it up. Don't worry about it.
All right, dear listener, if it comes to you, it's like a Swedish or something, or they're in Switzerland or somewhere.
Some SWA country.
And like this hot mom comes home after, getting her face sorted with surgery. And so it's covered in bandages the whole time in the film. I'm really curious now what it is, but we'll leave it. We'll talk about it after. We'll come
is it a horror film?
It's a thriller suspense.
Thriller suspense film.
Yeah.
What era?
Late 2010s.
Okay, I don't know. Oh, sorry, nothing rings a bell. Fuck it.
It'll come to us. Yeah.
You want to talk about the plot of this movie? It's pretty simple. So one thing I didn't realize when this movie started, and either I didn't remember or it's like really obvious and I just didn't remember, but it's set in the 70s. Set in 1978.
54.
78.
78.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, 78.
Okay.
And I was like, I had forgotten about that because I read a review where someone was like, it starts in the 70s. I was like, really?
Wait.
When?
It's all the shoulder pads.
Right, and then there's like 7 years later, and then another 7 years later.
That's right.
And then
34 years
34 years later.
Yeah, they catch up.
So when does it end? So 78 to 85 to 92 when it comes out. 34 years after that would be 26.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Wow.
Modern day.
Whoa. They didn't even have cell phones at the funeral.
Dude.
Is this film even accurate? God, they're gonna have fucking Teslas.
Some nonsense.
All right. So Madeline Ashton is a Broadway performer. She's terrible. She basically panned, but Bruce Willis is in love with her. He's dating Goldie Hawn, who's dressed down to look a little rough in this.
Yeah.
He meets Madeline Ashton. They fall in love. They run off together, essentially. Goldie Hawn becomes, fat and self-loathing and disappears from the public eye.
Yeah.
Madeline and Bruce Willis, they get married. They kind of hate each other. They end up really hating each other, but they live in this big Beverly Hills mansion. And then Goldie Hawn comes back in their life. She had written a book about something. She invites Madeline, and it turns out she's turned into this beautiful young smoke show of a lady.
Banging.
Willis, who used to be a plastic surgeon, is now a mortician, essentially, like 6 Feet Under style. Has his job. Madeline wants to look younger. Her star is fading. She's given a card, an exclusive card, much like The Substance. But she doesn't get a bunch of creamed corn in a bag. She goes to visit Isabella Rossellini. And Isabella Rossellini cuts her spine open and unleashes the young woman within. No, she gives her like a potion, an immortality potion, and is like, drink this. You can live for 10 years, but then you have to exit from the public eye.
Totally.
I'm 70 years old, by the way.
Which is so funny when she asks Meryl Streep to like, can you guess how old I am? And Meryl Streep's like, 38. And she gives her a stink eye.
Yeah.
Because in real life, she's 39 at the time. And she's like, I'm actually 71.
Yeah.
Oh, so great.
She looks great.
She looks great for 71.
She has a real shirt philosophy in this film.
I
of
appreciate
not
choice of tops.
Yeah,
nothing but
she's like-
jewels, baby.
She's like, no fabric, only
Nah.
stones to cover the titties. Yeah.
Oh, only
That's-
stones.
Yeah.
That's her side business.
So Madeline takes it. She turns younger. Then Goldie Hawn, she kind of seduces Willis again. And she's like, hey, we should plot to kill Madeline. And then we can be together.
Yeah.
Bruce Willis, major cuck in this film, is like,
God.
oh, God, oh, what do I do?
Hilarious.
And then Madeline comes home and she like emasculates him. She's like, you have a flaccid dick. You're a terrible person. I hate you. Bruce Willis throws her down the stairs, obviously.
breaks her neck four
Breaks
ways.
her neck. And Madeline gets up and is like, ow, that hurt.
How very Addams Family that scene when she like pieces herself back together.
It's fantastic, yeah. When
Yeah.
she just starts moving, yeah, it's great.
Incredible.
Yeah, her head's turned backwards. She flips it around. She realizes she can't die. And then Goldie Hawn, they eventually kind of meet at the mansion. Goldie Hawn being like, oh, we have to get rid of her body, which is still alive, but she doesn't know that. Then they get in a fight. Madeline shoots Goldie Hawn with a shotgun in a very, very funny scene where she goes
Holy
flying
shit.
across a room, which is very comical.
And
then
just
it-
has like
A huge
a
hole.
huge hole the
But yes,
size of
because
someone's
Goldie Hawn then
head.
rises out of the pool with the water pouring out of her. And
Yeah.
they sword fight with shovels.
Incredible.
She realizes Goldie Hawn has taken the potion as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then basically their plan is that Bruce Willis has to kind of touch them up forever because they turn into like zombie ladies. So he has to, make
Yeah.
them stay pretty forever.
Yeah.
But because he's going to die, they need him to take the potion.
Mm-hmm.
And so they go to the mansion to try and get the potion for him to take. He refuses to take it. And he falls off a roof to his almost...
No, he lives
sorry.
spectacularly.
He lives, right.
He falls
And-
off 100-foot story building.
And then changes his life and becomes like a philanthropist.
That's right.
And then dies 34 years later, and they're still alive and look disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
And then they fall down the steps of the church at the end and become just heads.
Talking heads.
Yeah.
Do you think they pieced it back together? Or do you think that was the end of it all? Because they were talking, even though they were decapitated.
It's one of those movies where like, what happened after the credits rolled there? Because the people
Yeah.
from the funeral had to have come out and seen two heads talking to each other.
Mhm.
They would have had a psychotic breakdown. But then the next people who were a little more like, temperamental would have been like, okay, what do we do with these two talking heads? This is obviously impossible. But
I think they would have. It's like you said from Futurama when Bender Bender's hands just do pretend to walk up towards him.
No, there's like a visual gag in an episode of Futurama where both of Bender's arms fall off, and then there's just like a quick shot of him, one arm putting one arm back and another arm putting the other arm back, and but it's when you think about it for a moment, you're like, wait, that's impossible. How
How
could
is
one? And
How-
Fry's
what the
like,
fuck?
I don't know how you did that. Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah, it's
That's what happens at the end of Death Becomes Her. Bender comes over.
Or someone just kicks the heads into traffic.
Now it's just Mean Girls all over again. Oh, it's in the same universe. Hell yeah.
Oh my God. That's why Lindsay Lohan looked that way.
Death Becomes Tina Fey.
Wow. Can't believe it. And that's the movie, Death Becomes Her.
Hell yeah, dude. Robert
yeah.
Zemeckis, you did it again, you son of a
Do you,
frick.
I know what your answer is going to be, but do you like this movie more than What Lies Beneath?
100%.
Yeah. I knew
What
you
the
were saying
fuck?
that.
Yeah.
You know what? Interesting.
I like this movie more than Forrest Gump. I said it.
Wow.
Said it.
It's
Yeah,
like you're not
Zemeckis.
even American.
I know.
It's like you don't care about our nation.
I'm a bad citizen of America.
This movie also does a cool little mirror trick, just like Zemeckis loves to do.
Yes.
There's a cool little mirror
Hell
fucking
yeah.
thing in it, cool too. When the nurse comes and gives her food, it's very good.
I made a note of that too in my head. I was like, wait a minute, they pulled
Yeah,
a
because it slowly
switcheroo.
backs out of the mirror, and yeah,
So that's from Citizen Kane.
no, nothing has Citizen Kane.
All right.
No one has been influenced by Citizen Kane at all.
And
Yeah.
then when they are one person in front of the camera and another person far away from the camera, also Citizen Kane.
Listen, I'll give you this. Death Becomes Her is better than Citizen Kane. I don't think anyone would argue that. I don't think anyone would tell you that you're wrong. Okay.
And that's a wrap. You heard it here, ladies and gents.
That's quite enough. I think we've successfully taken this movie back.
I think
we've snatched it back from the gay community.
we've heard it.
Because, they've had enough, honestly. I
Okay.
think, yeah.
Oh, you win cinema collections.
And so we just want this one film back. We will trade you. I'll trade you Citizen Kane for it. The gays can take Citizen Kane. We'll take Death Becomes Her. Everyone's happy. Who wouldn't do that deal? All right. I'm joking. It's a great film. I'm glad that the gay community has had such a hand in reclaiming it in culture, because it brings a whole other layer of understanding.
There's so
to
much
it,
joy,
despite some really bad essays written about it on the internet that I had to read. But you know what? Enjoy it.
It's okay. We're gonna hold space for this.
I'm holding space for this film.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening, everybody.
It's
Have
been
a
the low
happy
ceiling.
new year.
Yeah.
Because it's almost New Year's by the time you listen to this. Next episode, it's our 100th episode. We're going to be doing something some would argue is fun. Others would argue is stupid. You just have to listen and find out. All right. Thank you. It's been The Low Ceiling. I've been John.
Bye.
What's your name?
I've been Bree from 2025.
Yeah.
See ya.
Bye.